What's going on, everybody? This is Andy Morales, and welcome to Season 8, Episode 6 of Unraveled Influence. Hope everyone's having a great Thanksgiving. Obviously, Thanksgiving won't be around by the time these episodes are released. But anyway, my guest today, I met him at our Bayonne. Actually, no, I met him on a impromptu live I did with Florence, and then I met him in person at the Unraveled open mic that we did recently, and now here he is, Darian Mendez. Brother, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I life has been treating me pretty well the past couple of months, so I cannot complain.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, life, like I said, it's been an interesting couple of weeks. It's been an interesting month, but you know what? I woke up this morning. That's all that matters at this point. I woke up this morning.
That is definitely what is important.
That's it. And I'm excited for December as we do a new show for the platform on Unraveled Influence called Unraveled Conversations. How do you feel about that? It's gonna be interesting, in my opinion.
Uh, I'm excited, man. I'm very very hyped. I went out, I bought a journal, started journaling about the different topics that we're going to be going over as much as possible to prep myself. I want to make sure that I'm able to be as cohesive and understood as possible, when we're talking about these things, because I think these conversations are really, really important. And I'm really happy that I can be a part of a really awesome crew of people to be able to, bring this to light, on a platform. And it's something I'm very excited about.
No, me too, definitely. I so agree with you on that. And it's interesting too, because when I did the impromptu live and Florence just popped in and you popped in and then other people started popping in, it was just like, yeah, this is exactly what Unravel Influence was missing. I said, this is exactly what it, because we do the interviews and that's great. But what else can we do, right? We've done the open mics, the virtual, and people come in. But what else can we do that's different? And I think this was perfect. So the fact that me and Florence were talking about it, and I was talking about it with Daulton, I said, "What do you think about Darian?" And they were all like, "Yo, dude, hit him up, see was he interested." And now here we are talking about it and having this thing in December. So I'm excited. I'm excited for sure. So yeah, man. So with that being said, I'm gonna start with this as well. So as far as poetry, art, and all that stuff, how did that all start for you?
Well, I can distinctly remember writing my very first poem when I want to say it was eighth grade. I'm going to go with that. I was 13 years old. I was in middle school, and we had got introduced into like a poetry event that was going on. I forget what kind of event that it was, but it was a contest, and they wanted us to write a poem, and it was to like win some kind of thing for a 13-year-old. And I was like, cool, yeah, I'll give that a shot. And I think that there was something that just like clicked in it for me that helped me realize that like, wow, this is enjoyable to do. It was a way for me to be able to write my emotions and the way that I feel about certain things out on paper, and it kind of just like branched off from there. Within the first couple of weeks of me writing my first poem, I was already in front of a group of people, mostly my peers, reciting poetry at an kind of like I guess you could just call it a poetry reading. It wasn't really an open mic at my school. And, that started just like a really long couple of years of just a lot of writing, a lot of frustration, and a lot of learning the ropes of how to, go about it, because I've never had any kind of formal training on. I'm not a very good writer, like I don't, I'm not very good with punctuation and grammar and words and all that kind of stuff. But I think the ability to be able to, express myself in this way has always been really beneficial towards like my mental health and um, just being able to help people understand what kind of a person I am.
Okay, okay. And so with that being said, tell me about this. You said it was a contest, right? If I'm not mistaken, you said it was a contest.
Yeah, yeah, it was just like something small for the local, like every year they have like that Scholastic Book Fair type thing. And I want
Wow.
to say that it was like a contest like wrapped around that, and like if you won it, you got like some kind of like little reward towards that. Just something
So
small like that.
okay, okay. And how did you win? And if you did, how did it make you feel to write the piece and all this other stuff?
No, I definitely did not win, because unfortunately, at that point in time when I first started writing, I wrote very, very cringe, edgelord type stuff. It was definitely exactly what you would expect from a very, very goth middle school child. Um, and and I think when I recited it in front of people, it definitely prompted my school to be like, we should probably call this kid's parents and tell them that we're worried about him.
Oh
And that's
wow.
exactly what happened.
Wow. Yo, it's like the adults always think like the worst of kids for some reason. I'm like, dude, it was just written words. What the hell are you talking about? Oh my god. Wow. I mean, but damn, but nothing crazy happened after that, right? It was just like, okay, and that was it. Like,
I did start going to therapy pretty regularly from that point on for quite a few years after that.
oh my
So
god.
that was the only crazy thing, which I guess it kind of was for the better because when I was writing at that point in time, I was writing about exactly how I felt because at that time when I was 13, it was only a few years after my parents had gone through a really, really nasty divorce. I first started experiencing actual depression and anxiety. I wasn't applying myself in school in any way whatsoever. I was very alone in the world.
Mm.
And when I got introduced into this world of poetry, into this world of writing, it was a chance for me to be able to like put these feelings that I had on the paper. And I had these very extreme feelings. They were very out there, probably, not something people would expect from, a 13-year-old kid. But
Mm.
that's what I was going through. I was
Wow.
dealing with a lot of different emotions, from paranoia and fear of abandonment, and even like suicidal thoughts to a degree as well.
Wow.
And that was something that I think it was for the better for me to be recognized in a way that I was, because I wasn't judged for it. When my mom found out about it, I mean, of course, she was upset and she was worried about me, but my mom has always taken a very, very good, very solid approach to these kinds of situations. She was never the kind of person that was like, well, you're 13, you shouldn't be feeling this way, get over it. It was kind of just like, okay, well, let's find out what's causing these emotions. Let's get you somebody to talk to, and let's figure out what we can do about it. What can I do to be a supportive parent about it? And what do you need from me? And I think if it wasn't for that poetry that came into my life at that time, that might have not been discovered, and something worse could have came of it in the future.
Wow. I'm just wow. Cuz the thing is I'm Puerto Rican, right? And my parents are like from the 1950s. So the fact that your mom like said, "Hey, let's see what's going on. Let's figure this out and let's see what we can do to better the situation." That's impressive because it was not like that for me actually. It was rather, "Oh, my son needs help. Okay, just throw him in the whole psychiatric therapy thing." So with me,
I mean,
unfortunately, I had a bad experience with that, and that's why even though I'm debating whether or not, even in this day of my life, I should try therapy again, but now I have control of it rather than it was controlling me. I guess if that makes sense, because I was forced to take medications and all this other stuff. And I mean, if you ask me about my childhood, I kind of it's very blurry for me because of those things, and it's more like okay, so I've been studying myself a lot, and one thing I've noticed, and you said something very interesting, very important. It was mental health. I feel like in this year alone, my mental health has really put me into challenges I never really understood, and then me doing retail as an operations manager, I noticed with me, it was like, oh wait, hold up, like I didn't know I could think this way before, or what's this all about? And I think me having a child on top of that, learning about myself, definitely played a big role. So I wanted to ask you, if you could walk me more through that with your mom and just the whole like what how did that make you feel? I guess is my question when your mom decided, hey, let's go figure it out, kind of thing.
I would say that I didn't really understand it at that time. I wasn't really aware that these were abnormal emotions to be experiencing in the extreme way that I was, to the point to where I was having like reoccurring nightmares every night about like my parents, specifically my mom, like putting me up for adoption because she couldn't deal with me or anything like that. Like I wasn't aware that these were things that people aren't supposed to experience. So it was
Mm.
mostly just confusion and trying to be able to understand, you know, why it is that I feel such strong feelings the way that I do, um, and how to navigate life through those certain things, and how to be able to cope with them in a more positive and ethical manner. Um, so it was a really long road. I'm still traveling down that road. I'm 28. That was 15 years ago. I'm still trying to learn how to navigate those emotions because I didn't get officially diagnosed from a psychiatrist until I was like 18. And that's when I started taking meds and stuff, and it's been an on and off battle. Lots of grippy sock hotel visits and shit like that, and just like
Mm.
a lot of different stuff. So it's been a really, really long battle, and it's resulted in some really positive things as well as a lot of different negative things because uh, when I never felt like I was getting relief from the meds that I started getting prescribed, I would turn my attention to self-medicating through different various
Mm.
methods, whether it be using like alcohol or drugs or anything of that such. So, I mean, I'm still trying to understand it, and it's not an easy thing to learn to understand or just to come to terms with.
Mm.
I would say
Okay.
for a long period of my time, dealing with these emotions, I was in denial about it. I'm still kind of in denial about it. Like, why me? Why am I the one that has to deal with this the way that I do? On top of that, I also have a bunch of physical ailments and just so much crap that I have to deal with on a daily basis. And it's like, it's just why me in particular?
No, no, it's what it is. I'm listening to everything you're saying, and I feel like for me personally, and I've said this in all the episodes. Like every time I hear a guest on here and they tell me their story, and I think this is what I love about what we're doing now too. Is I'm always learning all the time. I'm always learning about something new, or I even learn something about myself just even hearing that, because that's how I felt actually. It's interesting because there, even though yeah, I've been saved in the things of God since 2013, but there are still things I still struggle with till this day. It's the whole me trying to understand why am I going through this, what is going on. Like when I like even when I was in the world, before 2013, or even things leading to that, like what you said about alcoholism and stuff like that, that was kind of me too. Because once I broke off from the medication, it was kind of okay. Like, what do I do now, right? Because I did get to a point in my life where I was I don't want to say, I guess because I kind of broke whatever walls my dad put on me, and it's not on purpose. It was just more like I didn't want to live in this statistic environment that I was living in, if that makes sense. And now it's like I look back now, like had I not done that, I don't know what my life is also, would be also. So it's interesting. It kind of triggers some things you said. Some things you said did trigger me a little bit too, because I was just like, oh wow, like I know that feeling. They talk about that. So in your opinion, what is it about that like the whole trying to understand, what did that look like for you? Like how does that look like for you visually, mentally, like whatever that is, right, for you? Like what is it about it that makes you want to understand?
I think what I more so want to understand is um I want to more so understand this feeling of loneliness more than anything.
Mm.
And not loneliness in the sense of like I want to be in a relationship, loneliness in the sense of like I want to know that I'm not alone in this fight and in this battle. Because when I've been dealing with this the way that I have for so many years, the biggest thing that I found that has helped me over and over and over again is having a large group of people that have gone through this with me and having that sense of community to be able to work on it together as a group to be able to build each other up, because that's been the best medicine for me. The medications that I've been prescribed over the years have not been the best thing for me. And I think having this sense of security that I get from the people around me, I think that helps me learn and understand more about why my brain functions the way that it does. What are my triggers? What are the traumas from my past that cause these extreme emotions and cause the anxiety and cause the panic attacks and cause me to, sometimes just have no desire to do anything. And having those people around helps me build a perspective on myself to be able to understand, hey, this is why, or this could be why you're having this issue at this point in time. Why don't you try looking at it from this side of the road instead of from that side? And I think that's what I've really been trying to get at, especially within the past few years now. For a long time, it was mostly just me trying to hide from it, pretend like it doesn't exist. Now, not so much.
Wow. Okay. And it's interesting to you say that, because what you're saying, the whole hiding from the fact that that thing can exist. You know what is too with me? I just always felt that it's that shamefulness that we don't understand. Like, we don't know why we feel ashamed, but we know we feel it, if that makes sense, right? And then there's this thing, like, it's embarrassing because I grew up in an environment. See, like I'm happy that you were able to be surrounded by people, or looking for that sense of community. See, like, with me, unfortunately, I didn't have that kind of thing. Even though poetry and music really got me through my life, even to adulthood, but it's that shit. Is that embarrassment that I felt like, oh man, I can't admit that I have issues, or I think denial is definitely one of them. But I think for me, the reason why that is because I'm trying to think how to explain it. So pretty much it's because I was surrounded by people that were macho, or like, oh yeah, we doing this, we fucking all these bitches and all this other shit. And me being sheltered for most of my life and then getting into the real world now, it's like, okay, this is not what I'm used to environment-wise, but I had to kind of play along and make up things about myself just so I could fit in. But isn't it crazy? I don't know if you've dealt with this, but isn't it crazy, even when you feel like you fit in, you still feel a little bit out of place?
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that, because I felt like I definitely wore a false face for quite a long time, because that was my biggest desire for a lot of my life, was just wanting to fit in. I always felt so alone that I would do anything to be able to be accepted by the people that I desired to want to be like, or thought I wanted to be like. That was a very common thing for me.
Okay. No, I love this. Like I said, because it's kind of bringing me things to perspective from my life as well. So thank you for sharing that with me. Wow. So in the long run, because I know you said a couple of years you've been dealing with that. Do you think your thought process is different now than it was before? Do you think it's similar? Do you think it's more in a different spectrum of things? Like, how does that look like for you?
I would say that it's a lot more patient. It's a lot more understanding. I don't beat myself up over anything anymore. I kind of just like throw my hands up, and it's called radical acceptance. I just
Okay.
radically accept the things for the way that they are, and understand that I can't change them overnight, and that tiny little steps are the only thing that I can do to be able to work towards bettering myself and helping myself understand why I feel the way that I do. And that's all. And that's what I do at this point. I don't overexert myself mentally or physically at this point in time dealing with these extreme emotions, because the only thing that ever brought me was heartache and pain. And I'm 28 years old. I'm too damn old to be dealing with that.
Wow. You know what's crazy? You're because I'm 38, so you're 10 years apart, and it's like this is things I think that my 28-year-old self wish would have learned, if that makes sense. It took me
Yeah.
years. It took me years for me to really understand that. Even when I gave my life to Christ, it took me years. And even to this day, it's like, okay, I'm just now learning. Okay, when you over exhilarate yourself, when you overdo things for yourself because you want to be, and we do it for the right reasons, not like we're doing it for the wrong reasons. You realize, you know what? This is fucking exhausting. This is so exhausting. I'm fucking tired, and I didn't even do anything yet. So it's like, wait a second, like, why am I stressing myself out? And again, I haven't even done any physical work yet, and I'm already stressed out. I'm already overthinking things, and it's just like, wait a second, okay, pause. And it's true, the whole being pause aspect of it. I mean, and again, I'm so much respect for you for being patient with yourself, because I'm not always patient with myself. I'm always putting myself down because I'm like, come on, dude, you're 38, you should be done with this already. In opposed to like just being patient, be like, listen, it doesn't matter how old you are, you gotta just be patient with yourself. Because what happens is when you put too much pressure on yourself, I think emotionally, mentally, and probably spiritually, you kill yourself faster that way. I think, and it's like, it's like, it's not good. I know for me, I have a son that depends on me. I have a wife that looks up to me and really wants to be there for me. But if I just continually being impatient with myself, that I guess it gets to that point, like, wait a minute, I'm gonna end up killing myself without even having to really do much of it, because sometimes we kill ourselves with kindness too sometimes, and it's just like, yeah, that's not cool, but I love the fact that you are doing that now. You're doing it because you come to that realization. So I guess my question is, like, what advice can you give to someone that's probably doing that now? Like what strategies do you think, in your honest opinion, like, what has helped you, like, all that stuff, like, how did that look like for you?
Uh, Cry for one. Don't hold back the tears. Um, and be emotionally available, especially to the people that love and care about you. If you don't feel comfortable being that way around your friends or around your family, find a friend that you can be emotionally available around, somebody who you can confide in, and just talk to somebody. Reach out. If it's not a counselor or a therapist, find somebody that you trust and that you love and just reach out to them. Help them to understand a little bit, because once you get that feeling out into the air, you'll find that it's a lot easier to be able to work on it in a more healthy way than dealing with it in an unhealthy way, such as, self-medication through drugs or self-destructive
Mm.
behaviors like setting yourself up to, lose a job or friendships or family or burning bridges and, anything like that. Because when you're bottling up all these emotions and all these thoughts, it's going to cause you to act out in ways that aren't really becoming of you and who you truly are as a person. Find somebody, talk to them, get them to try to understand. And that is the best thing that you can do. That is the most important thing that you can do. Try to keep yourself healthy as well. It's hard to get up and be active and do things when you're so damn depressed, when you're so gone and out there and just, you feel like you're on your back 32 feet into the ground with nowhere to go or nothing to do. You can't climb out. You know, Sometimes little tiny baby steps, going on a short walk, getting yourself outside, doing small things can be hugely beneficial for
Mm.
your mental health. Even though it's very, very difficult to do for a lot of people. And trust me, I know I'm there right now. I'm at
Mm.
the heaviest I've ever been in my entire life. And I'm someone who used to really take care of myself. I
Wow.
was, an avid gym goer. I worked out every day. I was super healthy. And, it's hard to lose sight of those things. But I mean, there's so much that you can do to take care of yourself physically, spiritually, mentally, that'll just like make you feel so much better. And I think it really, really starts out with reaching out,
Yeah.
talk to somebody. That's the best thing you can do.
Wow, amen to that. Amen to that. And that's a beautiful thing, man. And the fact is, like you said, even though you feel like the heaviest of you have ever been, but the fact that you're still fighting, you're not just staying there, like you're doing something about it, and it's hard. That struggle is real, man, and so much respect for you for that. I guess I wanted to ask if you have a piece you wanted to read to us to give the audience an idea of your style of writing, and we could talk about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. I have a couple here. Let me see which one. Um, yeah, I'll go with one of my newer pieces that I wrote.
Sounds
So
good.
I wrote this piece for my feature that I had at 610 Poetry in Emmaus two weeks ago now. I want to say that was 2 weeks ago now. And I titled this one "Fight." It's not super long, but it's a little bit of a longer piece. Um, and well, this is how it goes. Uh, if I believed everything I saw on TV, I'd believe I could be truly free. Free from this spineless society being ruled by 100-year-old wretches, fighting for a place to compete in the never ending race of late stage capitalism, holding my mental anguish hostage. 12-hour nights half the year, and I can't even breathe without a puff of my own fear, forever filling my sad sack shit for a brain. Caress my back and calm me, but I'm stuck swallowing this drink, all just to forget this fight I can't shed light onto. Another night I bleed, not physically, but spiritually, for I fall for thee deeper each week. Am I slowly conforming, or am I rebelling further? A fight that will never end as long as differences divide the masses with promises of false hope. Fight with me, and we will see a future of knowledge and true freedom.
Wow.
And I wrote that um, while I was doing some um, just like some reading and general understanding about different political things that are going on around the world.
Mm.
Because I mean, a lot of people aren't super politically involved, and I completely understand why. And I know why people don't want anything to do with politics, and I understand a lot of people don't understand it. But unfortunately, as much as politics suck, it is a very important part of our life. It is
Mm-hmm.
something that rules everything about us, the laws that are governed, and everything. Um, and as much as it's unenjoyable for a lot of people, it's something that I found solace in a weird way, as much as it frustrates me. It's something that I enjoy learning and reading about. And, I wrote this more so as a way to be able to help not only myself, but other people understand where I feel like I stand in the world as a single individual, which to me isn't really much. I'm just a small speck in the overall world of how things are and how they're ran. And the frustrations that I feel about living in the society that I live in, you know, the division that is caused between, the different political parties and constant fighting between everybody, you know, I have these really, really strong beliefs that don't really align with the way that the country is being ran. And now I'm working like this hardcore blue collar factory worker job. And, it's like, am I throwing my beliefs to the side? Am I conforming to the world around me? Or am I doing this in a way to be able to learn more about my quote unquote enemy, to be able to rebel further and harder and make people understand my side of things and where I'm coming from and why I feel the way that I do? It's just, it's a never ending battle that I think needs to be had and will always be had. And I
Mm.
don't mind putting myself on the front lines for that in any way.
Wow. Okay. Hold on. I gotta process all this because that is wow. I never saw it from that perspective. Because you see one. I like to Wow. Okay. I gotta process this because this is wow. Um. Wow. Wow. Okay. So I need you to talk to me more about all that because that is very intriguing. That's very interesting. That you are like because you feel like you work at this blue collar job and you feel like you might be just conforming to their ways, or are you really thinking about okay, maybe I want to see a different perspective so I can understand, so I can fight harder? Can you walk me through that? Because that is very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, I mean, let me preface it by saying, like, I mean, obviously, I live in the United States. I live in Pennsylvania. The United States is a capitalist country. that is the way that our economic system is ran, and that's how everything works here. And I have completely different views on how I think economically a country should be ran. Um, so I think that when it comes to certain things, such as the way people are worked, how they're underappreciated and undervalued in these positions and in these jobs, I think that I enjoy stepping into those fields to be able to get a feeling and understand for how the underappreciated working class individual deals with certain things every day. I love talking to my coworkers and understanding how they think certain things should be done and how certain things make them feel. And I think that a lot of those times, those situations just they truly strengthen my arguments for how I think things should be in this world around me. And then I can use other people's personal anecdotal experiences as a way to be able to help fight for certain things, mostly at the local politics level, because I think that's where the most important things are being done at. We need to focus on local politics a lot more than we do the big things that are going on around us. We live in a world right now where people are struggling. Look at the price of cars, the price of housing, the price of food and gas and everything around us. It's ridiculous. And the price of cars is even going up even more now. And the state that we're in is insane. And people working day in and day out at these miserable, horrible jobs that they don't even want to do, but they have to do it because you need to eat, you need somewhere to live, you need to have some kind of, income coming in, so that way you can do the things that you enjoy doing, so that way you don't want to freaking, run into traffic or something like that. It's a constant battle, and I am constantly trying to understand people's perspectives on things to help bolden my arguments and my understanding of the world around me. And it's a never-ending battle. We have such division, once, certain politicians start doing, well, this side wants this and they want this and they're extremists for this reason and that reason. And it's from both sides. We got people from my side of the political spectrum and people from the opposite side of the political spectrum calling each other fascists and communists and Nazis and this and that. And it's this constant fighting and constant bickering that's not getting us anywhere, when what we should be able to do is we should be able to sit down with one another and talk to each other and understand that the main thing that we all want, no matter who we are, no matter what world we grew up in, that everything that we all want is health, prosperity, and longevity in life and happiness. Those are the things that we all want and that we all crave, no matter if you're the most hardcore evangelical Christian or if you're the most devout hardcore socialist. It doesn't matter where you come from. That's what we all want. We all just have these different ways and these different ideas of how we should achieve those things. And because we live in the society that we do in the United States, the one side wants this and the one side wants that. So the best way that they try to get people to be on their side or to keep people on their side is to demonize the other side. And I don't think that gets us anywhere except more fighting, more bickering, more bullshit that just doesn't need to exist, doesn't need to be there. And I like to get on the inside. I like to get people to understand that, hey, I understand how you feel and I want the same things that you want. I just look at it in a different light and I look at it in a different perspective.
Wow. I definitely agree with you on that one, because like I said, so I'm gonna put God aside for a second just to prove this point that you don't have to be a believer in God to want those things, right? Because at the end of the day, no matter what your beliefs are, we all want to be successful some way or another. We want to live a peaceful life. I understand that peace is not always going to be in the absence of conflict. Like, I get that. And I do understand that sometimes having peace of mind is knowing that whatever situation I'm going through won't last forever. But at the end of the day, the main objective I think I really like to believe we all want is to have peace of mind. It's to know that, hey, we want to live. We want to enjoy what life has to offer, right? Because even though there's all this bad, there's all this good stuff in life that we want to enjoy too. And I'm not talking about in my case, I don't care if I have a Mercedes Benz or whatever the fuck it is. I just care about, I like to go outside, walk around Central Park. I want to go bike ride. I want to enjoy that without having to worry if I'm going to get shot because there's a crossfire somewhere. Like, you get what I'm saying? And I don't want to worry about that kind of shit. And I think we could all agree to disagree, but I think we could all agree that, hey, we just want to live our life. We don't want to live in fear in ways that might accidentally kill us. Like, let's just call it what it is, right? Because it's true, we are living on bad times right now. We don't know what's gonna happen next year. We don't know. And I get it, tomorrow's not fucking promised. I get all that. But for the moment that I have now, I want to be alive enough to see my son grow up, be a teenager. You know, like, that's all I care about at this point, you know? Like, I don't care if I have equity or fucking good credit. I'm sorry, I just don't give a fuck about that kind of shit. But I understand why it's needed, so we're gonna do whatever it takes to work on that. But in the meantime, my main priority is my family, my wife, and make sure they're good. That's it. Like, you get what I'm saying? So it's like, I get you. And I love that there's different perspectives of that. And I think that's where you come in, where you've seen different sides of many situations around you, but they all align to one thing. We just want to live happy lives. We want to live joyfully. We just want to enjoy. Like, we don't want hostility when it doesn't need to be. So that is definitely, man, again, so much respect for you for that, because it's so true, man. I think it is one thing in particular I think is very important is the fact that let's just stop, drop the weapons. Let's just really have a conversation. Yes, let's agree to disagree, but let's agree that at the end of the day, we just want a solution. That's it. Whatever the fuck that looks like. If we could come to a common ground, let's come to the common ground. I might not like the common ground so much, but if this is what it works, let's make it fucking work. And that's what it is. But it's true, we are living in a time where nobody even wants to do that anymore. Nobody wants to have a conversation anymore. Everything's all confrontational, and it's sad, you know?
I don't think people want to have those hard conversations, because those hard conversations often in times end in really bad arguments and major disagreements. And I think people are afraid of that kind of confrontation. And I don't think that that's healthy. You know, me and, you know, I'm at my mom's now, and, you know, we're in Massachusetts. You know, my mom and my stepdad just moved here literally like 2 weeks ago, not even 2 weeks ago, probably just under 2 weeks ago. And I'm here with my grandparents as well. They're who I came up with. And, you know, me and my grandfather, we don't see eye to eye with political ideology at all. We are completely opposite from one another on it. But the one thing that he and I are able to do is we're able to bicker and argue and hate each other for about a good hour-long conversation about how much we hate each other's side and how much we think this should be this way and that should be that way, and you're wrong and this and that. But at the end of the conversation, we're able to give each other a handshake, hug each other, tell each other we love you, and just understand at the end of that conversation that we do want the same thing. We just don't see eye to eye with how those things should be achieved. And I think more people should be able to understand that you can have those conversations with the people you disagree with. You don't have to demonize them, and you don't have to throw them under the bus in so many different scenarios to try to ruin their life or make them seem like somebody worse than they're not. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm not a Trump supporter. I didn't vote for Trump at all. But I'm also not the kind of, you know, leftist individual who is going to say every Trump supporter is a Nazi. That's stupid, you know, like, and people that do that, in my opinion, I think they're doing the exact same thing that people from like that right side of the political spectrum are doing to people on my side of the political spectrum. And I think all that's doing is causing more issues and more problems that don't need to be had. They don't need to be there. What we need to do is we need to have concessions. We need to sit down and understand this is what needs to be done in the country. This is the issue. We have a major mental health crisis in the world right now.
Yes.
In the world, not just the country, but in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And there's things that we can do to be able to fix those issues, but instead, people are a little bit more worried about what people are going in what bathroom right now. And I think that is the most stupid thing to worry about right now. What we need to worry about is we need to worry about the fact that people are going undiagnosed with severe mental health issues. People are going without food. People are getting poor education in the country. And these are the things that are really important, but nobody's proposing actual, policy changes to be able to work on these types of situations. Instead, for the past, 7 years, 7 years, it's just been culture war nonsense that isn't as important as trying to get the country back to a good standing economically, so that way we can live prosperously. And that's what drives me up the wall.
Yeah. Woo. Wow. Wow. Nah, because it's so true. It's true because, it's funny too, because I never thought I would think this way until I had my own child. And it's so true what you said, because eventually there are going to be some questions my son's going to ask I'm not going to know the fucking answer to, or I'm not going to know how to explain it to him because I grew up because the thing is, when I was growing up, even though my parents didn't talk to us about life, but they were very direct with us, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, culture back then was so different because if they had something to say, they just said it and that's it. Because when I was becoming a teenager going into adulthood, especially in my early 20s, I just said shit and didn't give a fuck if anybody got upset. Like, I just didn't give a fuck. Even to this day, I still don't give a fuck, but...
I'm with you. I'm the same way.
I don't give a fuck. I still say what the fuck I gotta say. But it's so crazy how in today's society, even though I don't give a fuck, I have to learn to somewhat give a fuck in a way that I'm not offending somebody. I'm like, damn, but like, even if I offend you, I feel like that's a you problem, not a me problem. But it's like, damn, God forbid. It's like, you can't even be fucking PC anymore. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Like you said, we're worried about what bathroom exists and why. Like, if you go to New York now, because my mom lives in New York, so if you go to Penn Station, there's no such thing as a men's restroom anymore. Now it's just fucking a genderless bathroom and a woman's bathroom.
Yeah. When I was growing up, it was just called a family restroom.
Yeah, if you're in the mall, there was that other restroom. Yeah, there was the middle room. There was that middle restroom. That's usually you would take the baby in to change the diaper or whatever the case was.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's a raging war of violence about that rather than what's more important. Right? There's the stuff with Hamas. There's the stuff with just the economic crisis that we're dealing with right now. People can't get fucking jobs. Mental health. Yeah, you're right. Mental health is fucking crazy. Like, I try my best to live the best I can. But mental health at work too, for me personally, it is stressful. Like, the minute I put my shoes on to go to work, I'm already fucking angry. My wife's looking at me like, babe, you gotta get another job. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's hard because I'm not gonna leave a job for less either. I mean, I could probably handle $1 or $2 less, but I can't go anything less than that, right? And it's just like, it's hard because there are good jobs out there, but they just have shit pay. That's what's come down to. They want you to do all this shit for shitty ass pay, and I'm like, dude, that's not how the fuck you can't live off that. I'm surprised in Jersey, the cost of living, you have to be making at least $15 an hour at least, but even that's not even enough. I know people at work that they work with me, but they don't have a place to live. They sleep on the fucking train. Like, that's just the reality of it. Maybe if things were provided a lot better, maybe we wouldn't have the homeless rate the way the fuck it is. Everything I see in California, I'm hearing about that, it's happening in New York now. Like, if you go to the BQE, there's fucking tents underneath the Brooklyn Queens Expressway, because there's like a parking lot that they can park your cars. I don't see parked cars there now. I see fucking homeless people in tents underneath that shit, and cops are just there like, okay, like, it's whatever. No, it's not whatever. Like, this is why
this is a crisis.
This shit is happening, and it seems like let's say, okay, even if the country did give a fuck about that, they're coming off as if they're not giving a fuck. That's how it comes off as. So how am I supposed to think? I'm gonna think you don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, but you want to fight about whose gender's what. I get it, it's what it is, but we should be worried about the economy. Like, how can we make this shit better. Like, that's my whole thing. Because the authority figures when my son's generation gets older, they're gonna be this generation today, and this generation, I'm sorry, it's not. They're not where they need to be. I'm sorry, like, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dad, they're gonna be the authority figures. These are gonna be the kids that take care of me. Like, this is fucking crazy to me. Because there's no, I think they've been lost a sense of direction. That's what I think it is, and I don't want to bash anyone, but I kind of blame this country for that because they're allowing shit to happen when it shouldn't. Like you said, we're worried about things we shouldn't worry about. So I definitely, I don't know. That's just how I see it. Honestly, yeah, like I don't know too much about politics, but I just know enough to know that it's like, damn, this is not where we have to be. We have to be somewhere else. But yeah, it's yeah. See that I damn, I'm so intrigued right now because of what you were saying about the whole perspective of things. Okay, so if you wouldn't mind reading like another piece.
Yeah, of course. So so I was in rehab in January. I went into rehab January 17th, I think it was. Um and I wrote this piece while I was in rehab. This was my first piece that I wrote after like a 10-year hiatus of not writing anything at all. This piece is called Hope. I've read this in front of people pretty often now since I've been out of rehab. So a few people have definitely heard it, but it's definitely one of my more favorited pieces that I've written myself. And yeah, so this one goes: situations arise and planning fails. Will my own happiness ever avail? Deep resentment fills the void in my stomach as I finally come to radically accept the truth of the world around me. A smile appears on my face as I come to terms with the inevitability of friendships coming to a halting stop. I strive for bettering myself in a never-ending battle with my own shortcomings. I slowly slide into the unknown as I grab for progression and desperation for a new future that's no longer filtered through the lens of alcohol. A new face emerges, gifted with knowledge and a new hope for a brighter future. Grateful I stand, and as I stand triumphant with my hands held high, happiness emerges with a newfound love for life.
Wow. Yeah, and I remember you reading that piece at the open mic that we did recently too, and yeah, and it's like you said, like when you have that sense of hope, now it's like, okay, it changes perspective in a way that's never seen before. So the rehab, right? Like because you say you had a hiatus of not writing poetry and stuff like that. What was it like to pick up that pen again and to start writing again? Like what did that transition look like for you?
It was like I opened up a door that had like a big bright light shining on it.
Mm.
That was like I was constantly being pointed towards it over the years, and it was like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, and I just never did because I was too distracted with life and my addiction and you know my own shortcomings and my failures, and I was too surrounded by it that I never had the motivation to pick up the pen again. And when I did and I started writing, it flew out of me. It fell out. It was just like it was natural. It was like it was always meant to be. And it was such a beautiful feeling. I felt, I felt home.
Hmm.
That's the best way I can describe it. It felt good. And then afterwards, it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. It
Wow.
felt wonderful. It was just like, wow, why did I ever stop doing this? It brings me so much comfort. It's so cathartic. It's it's a necessity in my life now. And
Mm.
even though, compared to a lot of the other poets in the community, and there's a lot of them, I definitely don't write as much as they do. Mostly because I definitely have like a perfectionist style of writing, and I'm very hard on myself, and I have a very specific style of poetry that is definitely much different from everybody else in the scene. I like to call my style of poetry more of like a poetic monologue, more
Okay.
so than anything, because I don't think that I write in a specific, you know, defined style of poetry, since there's so many different types. Um, I think that I have just like a very unique way of writing, and I am very hard on myself to be able to maintain that form of writing myself. Um, Also, I'm not like I don't got no freaking degree over here in freaking grammar and writing and stuff like that. All right, I ain't no professional poet over here. I like to write, but don't get me wrong, it's hard to get those words out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I
Yeah.
write sometimes I write certain things down and I read that sentence like two or three times and I'm like, what the hell did that say? What? That makes no sense. What are you doing?
Oh
so
God. Yeah.
so it takes me a while and like I only read my stuff at poetry nights. I don't publish anything. I don't have any desire to be published. I don't post my work on my social media or anything like that. I have no desire to do that. I just I enjoy going to the poetry nights. I enjoy reciting the stuff that I have when I do have it, and I enjoy being a part of the community.
Wow.
That's just something I really really enjoy doing. If somebody came to me and they were like, "Hey, I really like this piece. I'm a part of a magazine or this or that. Can we publish your piece into it?" I'd be like, "You know what? Sure, whatever. Let's go for it." But that's not something that I desire. It's not something that, I want to
Mm.
necessarily that I'm looking for. The main thing that I'm looking for is going to those places in person and hoping, even if it's just one person hears that piece and they come up to me and they say, that inspired me, or that really changed my perspective on something. That is the interactions I'm looking for. That's what I want out of the poetry scene, and that's what I want out of what I write. And that's my goal, and that's what I
Wow.
hope to get out of it. And you know what? If, like I said, if I only get like one person out of that, I think I'm successful in it, and that's my view of success, and that's
Mm.
all I care about.
Amen. Amen. That's true. I think success comes in different shapes and forms, and I definitely agree with you on that one. This is why I do what I do, because I want to be able to give back what was never given to me. I've never had a chance to really tell my story. No, I never really had anyone to talk to, or just to pretty much to be a voice of the voiceless, if that makes sense. And if I feel like the podcasting is a perfect way to do it, why not, right? And
Yeah.
that's true what you said. Like, I mean, yeah, like I have like one piece that's published in a compilation book, but is it something like I have to have done? No, I mean it's cool. Like that's why like you don't really see me featured a lot. I don't really care. I've been asked to be featured and stuff like that, but I just don't care about it. Like it is what it is. I just care more about let's have these particular kind of conversations, right? And it's so true. It's so true. And I wanted to ask you about the poetry community because, for me, okay. So I notice your world of poetry community, your niche is different from what the niche that I've been around in, right? Because when I first got into any kind of poetry community, it was on Instagram, and I saw other poets on Instagram posting their work, and some of them they started doing these lives. So I didn't know this world even existed, right? And I noticed with your side of stuff, you, Florence, Daulton, and even like Billy Mack too. Like this is a different niche. So I guess my question to you is, how did you come across that aspect of the community? Like, how did that come for you? Like, what did you start on Instagram and then met people like that, or was it just something in your neighborhood and then you just happened to have Instagram? Like, how did that look like for you?
So the poetry community got introduced to me by a friend of mine when I was in high school. Now, like I said, I started writing poetry when I was in middle school, and I did recite for my first time at like a poetry reading that my middle school held in the library, but I didn't know about the full poetry community of like open mics and stuff like that until I was in high school. When I was in high school, a friend of mine, like my group of friends, we had one friend who was like, "Hey, there's this place in East Stroudsburg. It's called the Living Room. We should go there. They have open mics, people play music, people read poetry. We should go there sometime." And coincidentally enough, um, Billy Mack was the one who would host those open mics at the Living Room at the time that I started going to them. I'm not sure if he did it every time or if he was only like someone who hosted it from time to time, but I know that's how I originally met him. Even though him and I didn't become like friends at that point in time, that was how I got introduced to the poetry scene. That was how I got
Mm.
introduced that there's this whole group of people out there that do this. and they love doing this, and this is such an amazing group of people. And the thing that I loved about it, which was, so at that time when I was in high school, I was kind of a huge asshole. You know, I was really like all about myself and kind of judgmental about people, and I wasn't a really nice person at that point in time. So if somebody would go up and they would recite and say I didn't like their piece, I'd be like really smug, like, huh, that was trash, that was bad,
Wow.
thinking like I'm like this cool guy, even though like I'm clearly just a piece of shit. And, and but then
Wow.
everybody would clap and love it and hug them and be like, that was amazing, you did awesome. And that's what started to change my personality. That's what started to make me realize, like,
Mm.
holy shit, like, and that's what started to mold me into this person that I slowly became, to where it's like, wow, there's no bad poetry. There's
Mm.
not.
Yeah, I
There's
definitely
only
agree.
just yeah, there's only just this perspective that people have on everything, and that's the beauty behind it.
Yes.
That's it's gorgeous. And now I can't tell you the last time I heard a poem where I was like, wow, that was trash. Because I don't hear them anymore. I just hear this
Mm.
person's perspective and their experience, and that warms my heart. I get goosebumps
Yeah.
when certain people are up on stage reciting, like Florence, like Michael Demand, like, you know, different people. I get inspired. I hear
Yeah.
them and I get the hair stands up on me, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, damn, I am so mediocre. I'm hard on myself now. I look at my poetry when I hear certain people reciting, and I'm like, damn, I'm trash, man. I need to get better at this. Whoo! These
Mm.
guys are amazing. Like, and I hear them
Wow.
and I'm like, damn, their words are so powerful and I love it. And, you know, even the young kids, there's people that are coming into the poetry scene all over the place, and they're so much younger. You know, they're amazing. Their way with words is just like so breathtaking, and I'm like, damn, I wish I could do what these kids do.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just, oh man, as soon as I got introduced into the scene, I was like, this is gonna be the rest of my life. This is what I want
Wow.
to be a part of.
Wow. Wow, that. I haven't said this in a long time for everyone that knows me. So yeah, that's a sexy situation right there. That's a very sexy ass situation because that's you know what's funny. That's all I ever wanted, to be honest with you. Like that's all I ever wanted because yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. So New York, yeah, poetry is very popular. But I always thought, oh, you have to know someone to be a part of something like that, or you had to sign up to some kind of club. That's the way I thought it was because I would read these pieces by all these poets and I'm just like, damn, but how could I be a part of some kind of movement of some sort? So again, I didn't know, again, like what you're saying, I didn't even know that word even existed. And to think I met you through Florence through a live, which is interesting because now my niche of the community is a whole different spectrum, right? Because I didn't know that the virtual aspect of it even existed, right? Because I would look up hashtags. Thank God for hashtags. Whoever invented hashtags
True.
is holy shit. You write
Preach.
poetry, there's like billions. I was like, what the fuck? So I
Yep.
click on different profiles. I'm like, yo, some of these pieces are fucking badass. Like, oh shit. Like, you know, there's a difference between, let's say, because I don't think there's such thing as a bad poem. I look at it more like, okay, that's just not my cup of tea. But doesn't mean poetry is bad. I just think, okay, this is not my style. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued by it because I'm like, wow, but the fact that someone could be in their brain to write something like that. Like I know one genre of poetry that I fascinates the shit out of me is fucking surrealism poetry. That fascinates the shit out of me because they'll say things that I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? But the words they use and how they use them is fucking fascinating. Like wow, like are you kidding me? I
Yeah.
wish I could write like that. But but yeah, but as far as the niche, I saw the whole virtual aspect of it, you know, especially 2018, 2019, especially going to 2020. I think the pandemic was a very interesting time because everyone was going live. Everybody was doing the thing. But again, I didn't know all these people you mentioned, Florence, Billy Mack, and what you said, Mike Demand was the other guy.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know who any of you guys were until, again, it's so interesting how if we play our cards right, you put the right pieces to the bridge, you could meet the right people. Because let's be honest, had I not rebranded this platform. Back in 2020, it was under a different banner name, and had I not rebranded this and restart the podcast portion of it back in January, pretty much, I don't think I would be here having this conversation with you in particular, because it's so true. It's such a beautiful thing. And let's be honest, right? Nothing is not always rainbows and flowers and sunshine. It's not always like that, and rainbows and shit like that. But you make the best of these things. And what I love is the fact that it's because of you, right? You, Florence, Daulton, you guys, that I know now, oh, wait, there's another world outside of that. Because everybody I know I've met virtually, I think the open mic in Bayonne was a whole different thing, because there's no art in Bayonne at all. So I took a chance at this bar, and obviously Shorty's, and I'm like, wait, this is better than what I thought it was. So I'm like, wait a minute, we got something here. How can we bring this into the city, right? Because then there's Damian Rushki, who does New Jersey Poetry Renaissance, and he's on a different side of Jersey. But again, because of you and Florence and Daulton, wait a minute, now there's a connection there. Wait, now we can do something, bring art here, bring it everywhere, build the bridge. It is beautiful. And you know what's funny? Even that in itself is poetic. In itself. That's such a poetic thing right there. Because like you said, what we were talking about earlier, there's so much division in the world. And I feel like poetry is the essence that can bring people together. There's so many people who have done this, I always go back to Allen Ginsberg, because Allen Ginsberg was a very interesting guy. Cesar Chavez, who was an activist, but also wrote poetry himself too. And it was just like trying to create difference, how to build bridges despite the bullshit we go through. And that is very, again, I'm gonna say it again, that's a very sexy ass situation, because let me tell you, man, like, I didn't know that world existed. And then now I meet you guys through the Instagram platform, right? But then you guys are a part of a different world that exists, and I'm like, wait, okay, we got something here. Like, it's such a beautiful thing. And yeah, so we are towards the end here, so I always ask everybody this, and I want to ask you this same question too. Once we're not here anymore, because there's gonna be a day we're not gonna be in this life anymore, and what legacy or what impact do you hope to leave behind once we're not here? Like, when people say Darian Mendez, what do you want people to remember you by? What's the one thing that comes to mind for that?
Damn, I never thought about that. I think the one thing that I would want to be remembered for is I would want people to look back on my life and say that he really cared about people. Because that's all I'm trying to do at this point in time in my life now, is to reach out to people and help them be heard and help them feel understood and loved. And that's what I want to be remembered for and known for, is somebody who did their best to help as many people as possible.
Wow. And that's a beautiful thing. And this is how I know you and I, like, we're on the same page with that, because that's kind of how I feel too. That's why I created what I created here. It's not just it's for all of us, like I said, because I want to hear your story. I want to hear people's life, because I know there's people in this world that don't know that this exists. If I could bring it to their life, to their surroundings somehow, hey, let's what do you want to talk about? And that's the truth. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to touch on? Let's just have whatever conversation exists, because you know what? There's conversations that need to be had. There's stories that need to be told. And it's like I said at the open mic, we need to be loud, because we are living in a time that everyone wants to silence everybody, and I'm fucking tired of it. I was like, no, I'm going to be fucking loud, whether you like it or not. I'm probably going to say some shit, and I'm probably going to piss someone off, but we need to be loud. And I think poetry and having these conversations and, introducing people with one another to have this podcast, just to have different platforms and inspire others, I think this is the right step in that right direction for sure. 5. Yeah. Do you have any last words before we end here?
Um, the only thing that I think that I would like to say to anybody that listens to this is, um, don't forget, if you're in a bad state of mind and you're in a bad place, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. Love yourself, care about yourself, and treat people with love and respect. And Andy, thank you so much for having me on, and I really appreciate it. And I cannot wait for December 1st, brother.
Amen. Amen. Likewise. So thank you everybody for listening. I'll talk to you soon.